Unbundling the bank has been one of the concepts that I think we've talked about for a while. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a data-driven view of that, and then have some of the experts come up and talk about what they're seeing from the investment side of things as well as being within a bank. This is a really stark illustration of kind of what's going on, right? There's sort of a trust divide here, right? You have technology firms are more trusted in providing finance or financial services than the big banks, right? And so this is, if you're an incumbent bank, this is not good news. And I think some folks are sort of seeing this. So this is Chairman CEO of BBVA actually talking about this in terms of kind of user expectations and kind of who the new competitors are. And I think one of the trends that we're kind of interested in tracking is, in the next 5 years or 10 years, are the Facebook, Amazon, Googles of the world, the Microsofts of the world, the Samsungs of the world going to be the financial services brands that people connect with. So, we talk a lot about the unbundling that you see here. Kind of our sort of legacy financial services sort of inviting this unbundling, right? So whether it's yesterday, I think it was Dan Reed of American Family Ventures said that they have misgivings or some trepidation of partnering with big tech companies. Is that sort of also with startups the case, right? So, and a driver of that really is the fact that there's a sort of outdated technology, sort of lack of ability to engage and connect with differentiated services with sort of new customer expectations, changing demographics, and then sort of some of these companies have just become too big. So this is banks have lost kind of touch with their clients, and so this shows you kind of, where different demographics are with regards to their relationship with banks. And the picture's not very pretty. Actively disengaged and indifferent are not two buckets that you want to have a lot of people in, and you see that it's pretty stark how many folks are in those two buckets. Then there's these legacy systems. So I remember when I was at my alma mater, which was a big financial services firm, and I think we used to have some developers on staff who, I forget the language, they were like 3 guys who knew COBOL or Pascal or something, and these guys could demand a king's ransom because they're the only guys who knew how to do this stuff still, and we had some antiquated system that was built on it, right? And so, that's kind of scary. That's scary that, those guys are going to die eventually, and so you have some big, massive system, and the fact that that's sort of what your systems are built on. So this is kind of obviously another technology challenge that the big banks face. And then, you have this millennial issue, right? So, big banks saw a millennial customer base drop 16%. I think for those of you who were here yesterday and heard Josh Brown of CNBC, I think he offered the contrarian view, and he basically said, millennials eventually become middle-aged people with families and mortgages, and they're going to act just like everybody else. So, I guess time will tell if millennials is just a really smart job by marketers to sell consulting services, or whether it's a real thing. But there does seem to be some kind of substance to the trend. And then this is sort of maybe a blessing and a curse, right? So this is DoddFrank, right? So the number of pages in DoddFrank. And so this is probably an anchor around banks from an innovation perspective because they got to deal with all this crap. It's also a gate or a fence, for startups and other entrants to get into because they also have to deal with all this crap. So that's a problem. This is a great graphic by American Banker that just shows sort of how big banks have become over time. And so kind of too big to fail has sort of become, too big to innovate, right? And so you kind of see, how we went from a lot of circles to essentially very few. And this is obviously a US-centric view of the world, but it does kind of illustrate how things have changed and sort of with this size become some probably impediments to growth and innovation. So kind of open questions, and we'll get over the experts. Sort of accessing innovation, build, buy, partner. If legacy financial services firms do believe that there's an Uber or Kodak moment that they need to be aware of, how do they access that innovation, right? And then there's the contrarian view, is that, sort of like this is a bull market, right? Or we've been in a relatively good market, and so unbundling is sort of it's the new big data, it's the new Internet of Things, it's the new AI, it's just a new buzzword, right? And if you just let this pass and just focus on efficiency and the big installed customer base that you have, maybe this all fades away, right? You obviously know where we stand on that topic, but I've heard that from some clients over time.